Hey friends, so by the way, I journal all the interesting, more bizarre stories on my website, tomberkenmeyer.com. Tomberkenmeyer.com, just like it's spelled here on social media. So today's it was interesting in a very ugly, stupid, amazingly, I'll say stunningly stupid kind of way. And I will reference the phrase stunningly stupid again here soon. But I go to pick up my passenger. I'm not really sure where the house is. The pin drop is there, and sometimes you don't really know where it's at. And so I get my passenger on the phone and I start talking to her. She's guiding me to where she's at. And one of her neighbors, so it's not even the ride itself, it's one of her neighbors, just slowly drives by me in his big pickup truck and rolls down his window. I'm on the phone, and I'm the kind of person where I can't divide my attention. If there's two people talking to me at once, my brain shuts down. So I'm focusing on my passenger while this guy over here is talking to me. I'm not sure what he's saying, but I gesture, yeah, I'm on the phone, I can't talk right now. And for most people, rational thinking people, oh, okay, cool, sorry, didn't mean to bother you. But no, this guy keeps talking, except he gets louder to the point he starts screaming at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm doubling down on ignoring this guy, because he's obviously just being an asshole on purpose at this point. And then he gets out of his truck. I didn't feel unsafe at any point, just so you know. But he gets out of his truck, and he smacks my window really hard with the back of his hand. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to divide my attention or give this guy my attention now. Kind of don't have a choice. And then my passenger saying, okay, I see my neighbor out there yelling at you. I'm going to come outside. So she starts walking down the driveway. And this guy who just smacked the back of my window through with the back of his hand really hard and cracked my window, he's still screaming at me. And I told him, you can't hit somebody's car like that. If you touch me or my car again, I'm going to call 911. And I should have known better than to say that, because people that are dumb on purpose, they wear it with a badge of honor, and if you call them on it, they'll just double down, smile, and feed off of that energy. And that's exactly what he did. And I could just predict that coming as I was saying it, and that's exactly what happened. He's like, I don't give a shit, go ahead and call the police, I'll wait for him, and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And at that point, he also said, you dumb liberal? I'm like, and that's what tipped me off, that this guy just isn't playing with a full deck up here, because why would he call me anything with a political label? Nothing ever came up. I wasn't even talking to this guy. So at that point, I yelled back, and I shouldn't have done that, but my adrenaline was up, and now that my adrenaline is down, I'm like, yeah, yelling back probably wasn't the right thing. So at that point, I yelled back at him, and I said, liberal, you are a stunning, stupid, self-absorbed asshole with a sexual problem. You should go get that fixed instead of taking your anger out on other people. It was something along those lines. I don't remember exactly how I said it. And he loved that comment too. I mean, just he probably thinks he's very smart and clever and can outfox anybody. And based on his whole demeanor and based on what he said and how he defaulted to calling somebody a liberal that he doesn't know anything about just because he doesn't like that person, it makes me think, gosh, I could fit him to the stereotype on every level on that one. I mean, I guarantee you 10 times out of 10, 100%, this guy has a gun, probably with an extra extender to make up for his impotency. I bet he's sexually impotent. I bet he can't get a chemical-free hard-on anymore. I bet he goes to church every Sunday. I bet he beats people over the head with his Bible. I bet he's anti-abortion. I bet he's another stupid MAGA person that loves Donald Trump. I mean, you go down the line, I can guarantee you this guy is all of these things just based on that very little bit of interaction with this guy. And so my passenger eventually makes it down the driveway, and she starts talking to him, calming him down. It's like, wow, this guy's really got some stuff going on up here. And that was it. Oh, and I bet he also hates immigrants and probably doesn't care if they're illegal or legal. And I bet he's for caging children at the border because they shouldn't be over here illegally anyway. I mean, just down the line, I bet you I'm right on all this stuff. But it was funny. I just started laughing because when you're dealing with somebody who's so messed up and mentally stagnant, you can't really take offense to it personally. It becomes funny at that point. And sad at the same time. I hope he gets treatment. I'm sure he's not, but he's old, and old has nothing to do with it. But and he's white, and white has nothing to do with it except for what he's made it out to be. But I bet he views being white as a privilege, even though he did nothing to be white. He's just born that way. But an old, white, angry guy who defaults to calling people liberal that he doesn't like. And I bet 10 times out of 10, he's one of those people that will take the word socialism and call anybody a socialist that he doesn't like, even though the word socialist has a very specific meaning I bet he's one of those crazy people that will default to using that word to anything that he doesn't like, even though it has nothing to do with the word at all. And that seems to come mostly from people that are on the extreme far right side of the aisle. So my passenger gets into my car and we finally take off, and she's really cool. So it was a very nice ride. She apologized to him. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. That guy's obviously got something going on upstairs that is far beyond what I could ever comprehend or understand. And it was a pleasant ride at that point, so that was fine. But then it also got me thinking, man, that's about 1/3 of the country. So granted, people that think that way, or don't think at all as the case may be, they may be a minority, but those are the ones that show up to vote in the largest numbers. And at 1/3 of the country, about 35% of the country, it's a minority, but that's still a lot of people. That's a large plurality of people. And they show up to vote, where others typically don't. So then, of course, it got me thinking about the next election that's coming up. People like that support Donald Trump, and you know this guy does, they're going to show up, all of them. There's not going to be any that's going to be waiting home. They're going to show up and vote for him. So the only way we can defeat this way of thinking, this way of treating people, this way of label hunting, this the gun violent culture that we have, this bigoted, emboldened bigoted culture, this country that is bombing 8 different countries right now that never attacked us, for caging children, and a lot of these things have been going on since way before Donald Trump and Obama, Clinton, Bush. The only way we can defeat people like Trump and people like Obama and Clinton and Bush and Joe Biden right now, who's running for president, the only way we can really defeat those assholes and evolve to a much better quality of a culture and people, it's to show up and vote for people that do reflect the policies that we want, and also to some extent the values that we'd rather have, but mostly for the policy positions, right? So people like Bernie Sanders in the primaries, and Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, and all those people that are untethered from the corporate PAC money. Boy, am I going off in a tangent, but this really is related. The only way we can really defeat that kind of redneck backwards thinking, like this guy I had the run-in with just a little bit ago, is we have to show up and vote. And there's some people, thankfully not very many people, who believe in passivism in this instance. And I vehemently, wholeheartedly disagree with that on a basis of an objective reality. If you don't show up, then you've made your choice to let others choose for you, and I don't believe in that. So don't be on the sidelines. Show up, find out who's not on the take of corporate PAC money, so that we can get people in office that actually are going to reflect us and do what we want rather than represent the donors. And, you know, the real owners of this country, which is, we'll just call it corporate America, the heads of all the biggest corporate firms, they're the real owners of this country. So we break that bond between politicians and those real owners by voting for people who don't take their money. And then it's all over for those assholes, and we bring up a really good possibility that we really do get our country back. And that's just based on, that's not a gut feeling. The people that believe in passivism and not participating, that's a gut feeling that they have, and it's objectively wrong, because it's not like there's no evidence to show one way or the other. It's not a neutral ground. There's plenty of objective evidence in reality to show if we do participate, but we participate in the right way by supporting people who are not taking corporate PAC money or lobbyist money. That's how we can at least give ourselves the possibility of a revolutionary and evolutionary kind of change, where we get people that represent us rather than corporate donors and so forth. And then people like that asshat that I had to deal with earlier, they'll be, pushed into a corner of shame, and then maybe some of them will eventually come around. That's fine, but there's always going to be people that think that way. So it's not like they're ever going to be absolutely defeated, but if they could be put into their tiny corner of shame in the country where, acting that way, they're not going to feel emboldened to do that like that anymore. That would be a pretty wonderful thing. So that overall, we've just got a culture of more of love and helping people and support for one another and helping us work past our problems. And then, of course, we'll still be coexisting with people like that too, but they'll have much smaller influence, and they'll have a much smaller place in society. And that would be much better than what we have now. So most important thing is we got to show up in the primary season and vote for people like Bernie, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, any of them that don't take any corporate PAC money. That's that. All right, thanks for watching my video. And again, TomBurkenmeyer.com. I journal these all there. And what else are they going to say? Oh yeah, all the money that I make doing ride sharing, Lyft and Uber, I'm able to save 100% of it and invest it into my rental property business. So it's really nice to be able to save and invest 100% of everything that you make, because typically you got bills, and well, always you got bills, but I've got something else that takes care of my bills for me, so that I can do something like this and put all of it in something else, which is really nice. And if you're curious to see how I did that, I wrote an article about it. It's about 5 or 10 minutes worth of really good reading time. Just ask me for the link and I will send it to you, and you can have it. So that's that. I'll end on that note. Bye for now, everybody. Mwah. Watch out for MAGA people. They are a mix of being wildly disconnected from reality and ones that do know who he is and support him anyway, and those are some pretty sick, vile fucks, let me tell you. All right, bye for now, everybody. Mwah.